Well, hey everybody, welcome to another one of our socially distant socials team. Say hello to everybody. It's great to have you all here this evening.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. And tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about the whole subject of justice. Now, justice is something that's been really, is really prevalent all the time, but particularly has been really prevalent over the last kind of few weeks in the news for various different things. But we want to talk about that as a team, about what the whole justice thing means for us as individuals, for us as a team, and for you and the young people as a youth group. So I want to quickly get a definition of the word justice. So according to the dictionary, justice is the quality of being just, righteousness or moral righteousness, or rightfulness or lawfulness. So that's what the dictionary kind of proper definition of it means. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about the word justice. Now, I'll ask some questions to our team about the whole subject. So first question I'm going to ask is to Rachel and to Rob. So Rachel, I'll come to you first. So Rachel, tell us all of a time when you felt like you didn't get justice in a situation, and what was your response to that thing? So over to you, Rachel.
Well, a lot of the things that I've done where I've had to prove my justice, I can't say, and they're more serious.
Yeah.
So the only one I could think of was my mother. She likes to spend her money, and we've all tried to tell her to curb her spending because she comes and borrows off us in the end. So I'm trying to reason with her as an adult, but she doesn't see that as me being an adult and having a good opinion because she still sees me as a child. So that's only the only one I could think of that was light-hearted and not too heavy. And it's still a conflict now, now that I'm married and, you know, that I don't have to come
not a child anymore. Oh, bless you. Thanks, Rachel. That's helpful. Rob, same question to you, mate.
Well, hi, Jamie. Hi, guys. Justice, a bit of a funny one for me. I suppose growing up, I didn't really feel that I was hard done by too much. The one thing that would stand out is when I was at school, I came from a reasonably big family. We didn't have any money. We was poor. We was proper poor. And going to school, we went to a good school, and all my friends, they had all the latest gear, they had the latest trainers, latest clothes, and I didn't. I was going to school in a knitted jumper that my mum had knitted, and it was actually a hand down from my brother, because I had an older brother and sister as well. So I suppose justice, it's a bit of an awkward one. I felt like I was not really accepted because I didn't have the right stuff. I was sort of singled out for that. And the way I responded to it, I suppose, a bit childish. I sort of ended up being a class clown. And I tried to prove myself in other ways. So because I didn't have the latest gear, I just tried to fit in other ways. So I ended up being a class clown. And it was that wasn't great.
Can you just say that maybe like you were almost trying to compensate for the fact, that you felt like you were missing out in that sense?
Yeah, and I don't think they meant anything by it. It was just, growing up, it was just one of those things. Yeah, I suppose we always point out people's differences, and I was the different one in the class, and that's so.
Good example though, because that shows like actually that's injustice, because like you didn't ask for that, or you that wasn't it's just what you were born into, wasn't it?
But there's nothing I could do about my social sort of stance, because my dad was working. It wasn't like he was unemployed. It was just there were five of us. Five mouths to feed, and it was hard times. But that's cool, man. That's cool.
No, thank you. That's really helpful. That's a really good example. Thanks, Rob. Thank you, mate. Right, I'm going to come on to Ellie now. Ellie, in your job, you have to explain this a little bit to everybody, but you work with people. Is it mainly women or just women?
Mainly women.
Mainly women who have come out of being trafficked. Tell us a little bit about what your job is and your experience in this job. How that's helped you to deal with kind of some of the injustices these people have faced. Just give us a bit of an overview of that, if you can do, please.
Yeah. So trafficking is a really funny word, because we kind of come into contact with that word with cars, don't we? Like, we get stuck in traffic. So I want you to take that out of your head for now and think of it as a completely new word. And what it basically means is that someone is taken from wherever they live for the means, so for the purpose of being exploited. So that is to be perhaps someone's literal house servant, and they might not be paid, or they might be paid very little, or they'll be sleeping on the floor on a mattress with little food. So it's where you would associate someone who doesn't have the basic minimum rights. That's what exploitation is. So that's the women I work with. I've also worked with men, but mainly women. And what that's kind of shown me is that, first of all, it can happen to anyone. Injustice can happen to absolutely anyone. I have women of all ethnicities, all ages, people with all levels of education, those who had no education, those who have PhDs and crazy levels, and it can happen to anyone. And the other thing that it's kind of that I've experienced is the amount of resilience these people, the individuals I've come across have. Many of them were victims and survivors of trafficking. So they were a victim of someone taking them out of their home to another place for the purpose of exploitation, because they were usually lied to, or they were under the influence of something else. And actually they weren't there because they didn't want to be there, but they've always felt like there was something else to fight for. They knew that they had a place to fight for justice and to fight for something better. And that's been my main experience. That's like one of the main reasons why I do what I do, is because they inspire me every day. So yeah, that's what I do.
It's amazing. And there is really, another word for trafficking could be slavery, isn't it? It's kind of people
so
in modern day slavery, isn't
it? Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, sorry.
And that's people in the UK? That happens to people in the UK?
Yes, so there is about 130,000 people in slavery in the UK, which is about the size of West Bromwich.
That's
so
crazy,
if you think about that size, that's the known statistic of the UK government.
That's crazy.
But there's likely to be a lot more than that. And there's about 40 million worldwide. So it's larger than when slavery was active, like back in the 1800s, when we think of the slave trade, which has obviously come about now. So it's a lot bigger because it's a lot more kind of underground. It's right underneath our noses. It's like in manufacturers, it's in factories, it's in lots of things.
Wow. It's crazy. Thanks, Ellie. That's really interesting to hear that and find out some of your experiences. It shows that justice or injustice comes in many different ways, many different forms. So that's great. Thanks, Ellie. I want to just move on briefly because I'm sure all of us have seen in the news or some much of form the last probably 3 or 4 weeks now, hasn't it been, since the killing of George Floyd in America, the rising up of kind of particularly the Black Lives Matter movement has been active globally. There was even at least one, maybe a couple of Black Lives Matters protest marches going on in Birmingham, wasn't there? So it's kind of been on our very doorstep. Now, it's been really interesting for me personally. I've been journeying through this for the last few weeks and having conversations. And as a white man, as a white male, I don't fully understand it all. I don't get everything. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to ask questions. I'm trying to see what it looks like. But really pleased tonight that we've got a couple of people who I'm sure have a bit more experience in this whole area than I do. And Abs and Taffy, it's fantastic to have you as part of our team. We absolutely love you being part of our team. But we also are really aware at the minute that our, particularly in this moment, our Black brothers, our Black sisters are really standing up for this cause, which is fantastic. So I really wanted to ask you, as individuals, Abs, I'll come to you first if that's okay. What ways have you personally experienced kind of like racial discrimination? Is there anything that stands out for you in your own life?
I think for me, there's one, like when people are like, oh, does it really happen? Does it happen in the UK and stuff? It's not like the biggest example, but it hits the nail on the head, I think. Right. That when I was in school, so I went to, it was a majority white school. I was one of 4 Black people in my year group. Oh. And in one class, like at the end of a German lesson, we tended to like go through answers and check on homework and stuff like that. And there was this one time when the teacher only checked the homework for me and the only other black girl in the class. And then he said that our homework hadn't been done to a high enough standard, so he gave us both detentions. And in my school, a detention wasn't the punishment for homework, it was a sticker that said a homework concern, and that was if you didn't have the homework, let alone if you didn't have it to a high enough standard. And then in that detention, we were asked to write lines like, "I must not be lazy." And when I've brought this up recently, and my mum was like, "You never mentioned that," and I'm like, "No, because at the time I didn't really. I was like, oh, that doesn't feel right," but I didn't get it, and I think that's a lot of the way that I've seen racism in the UK. Sometimes you think maybe you're going mad. Like, was it? I think, and I wasn't sure, but yeah, like that kind of thing, really.
That's very interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. Thanks for sharing. I'll come back to you in a moment if that's okay. I've got a second question. Taffy, mate, anything for you that stands out? Anything that you can think of that jumps to mind in terms of this whole area for yourself personally?
Yeah, but I can't say I have personally experienced any racial discrimination, and it could have happened, but it was without me noticing it. And I think this is mainly because of a personal trait I have, which I've developed over the years, that no matter what or where I find myself, I'm very kind of like overprotective of my heart, and I got it with all due diligence and choose not to see much of these things that I actually can't point to an experience to be specific. However, on this subject, I have a friend of mine of African descent who just this morning had a window smashed by a big rock whilst he was out, and he was asking himself why this happened only to him in the neighborhood and to only his house and at this very point in time. And he came obviously to a conclusion that this was like a hate crime which was directed toward him. And the question pops up, that was it of a racial nature? Who knows? But I personally choose not to go much into these things unless I'm drawn into the very same hate. So I always try to choose to direct the love of Christ towards others, and what I would recommend, and that's what I would recommend to others. And just to love and to do unto others as you would love them to do unto you, really. So that's been my experience.
That's fantastic. That's really good. Thank you so much. And just really briefly to finish off with, finish this little section. Abs, Taffy, whoever or both of you want to speak into this. What should I, as a white person, what should we be taking away from the rise of this kind of the Black Lives Matters movement and the profile of it? What do you think we should be taking away or learning from this whole thing?
Yeah. I think for me, one of the things that really stands out is, like, I've seen this on Instagram quite a few times. It's like, it's not black versus white. Like, actually, it's everyone against racism. And I say not even racists, racism, because actually we're all people and we recognize that we all have different like prejudices and biases and stuff. So if all of us can see stuff that we don't like and point it out and like say something about it, then it just makes it so much easier. Like for me, when I saw things happening and I felt like, oh, was someone being racist to me? If someone else, one of my friends, had been like, that wasn't, like, why have you done that? Then I would feel more like validated in that. And also it changes the culture, doesn't it, as well? So, yeah.
Right. Taffy, anything to add, mate?
Nothing much to add rather than what I've just said. So, my advice to everyone is just to treat everybody like you would want them to treat you, really. So, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's so helpful to have. One thing I absolutely love about the youth group we have is the diversity we have amongst us. Not just in the team, but with the young people, we've got people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, all in the same room, all having fun together, like it should be, like it all should be. So, one of the point of this is not to highlight anything apart from we just want to be able to say that we love you and like we're for you, and particularly if any of you, like we're hearing some of the stories that Abs has shared, particularly really breaks my heart just to think like that people have been involved in that, and maybe without even knowing it, I've in the past and stuff like that. And like we just want to say, we love you and we're for you, and anything we can ever do to help you in these situations, we want to be able to do that. And we're one big family. Like Taffy said, we want to just love each other. Doesn't matter skin color, age, gender. We're one family. We just want to have fun and love each other. So hopefully that helps a little bit. What some of the stuff that's been shared tonight. Final thing. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching that conversation. What we're going to do is we're going to have the second part of our conversation, part 2. It's going to be coming up all to the idea of justice again. We're coming up later on in the week, so keep checking this channel. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you get all the latest videos and notifications come through. Hopefully we'll catch you really soon. Take care.